Hi there! Welcome to Urbinary, the podcast cataloging the everyday and extraordinary in the city.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Urbinary. My name is Giulia and today Hoy and I will discuss with Abdallah about environmental sustainability of the Olympic Games. Among the key points of the Olympic infrastructure is that of understanding what happens after the events. We will reflect on this by discussing the Milan-Cortina Winter Olympics to be held in 2026. In doing so, we will also connect to the housing issues, that is an hot topic here in Italy, and how some Olympic villages could be reused as housing.
Urbinary.
Before we dive in, we want to share a little more about Abdallah. He is a PhD candidate at Politecnico di Milano in urban planning and policy design, where he is researching the environmental impact and sustainability of projects and infrastructure that are constructed for the purpose of hosting mega events such as Expos or Olympic Games. Abdallah, I understand that you are conducting research on how mega events can have huge impacts on a city beyond the end of the event. We are talking about new infrastructure, transportation, residence made plan specifically to accommodate an expected number of visitors. While some of these new developments are temporary structure, most of them are actually intended to be stay for long term. And it is important in these cases that we can find the use for them beyond the event. If we do a Google search, we can find many photos of abandoned Olympic venues from years gone, and we would like to understand from you what went wrong. If we do another research on Google, we can still find that actually many of the structures have been reused for everyday uses. So we are wondering, how does poor planning impact the future of a city when it comes to hosting big events, and how can a city look further in the future when developing the needed infrastructure? But also we want to understand what we can expect from the Milan Winter Olympics. So with the help of OI, we will try to find that here.
We have decided to have in our podcast 2 episodes dedicated to the mega events and the role they have in our cities. Today with Hoy and Abdallah, we will discuss more about the good and bad practices of hosting the Olympics, while next week, as you will see also later in our outro, we will discuss the mega events with Delara more generally.
Urbinary.
Hi, Abdallah.
Hello. So Abdallah, how are you today?
Good, thank you. How about you?
Yes, we're good, and we're really eager to learn more about how infrastructures and mega events affect the city. So we start with the questions. First of all, can you explain what are some of the huge infrastructural developments that are important for host cities for events in the scale, such a mega scale, such as the Winter Olympic Games or any other sporting events?
Yeah, sure. Certainly, hosting the Olympic Games often requires significant infrastructural developments to accommodate the influx of athletes, officials, and spectators as well. Also, they have to meet rigorous standards set by the International Olympic Committee, the IOC. So, to name some of the major infrastructural developments that are typically important for the host cities, we can start firstly with sport venues. So, the construction of or renovation of sport venues is a key focus for host cities. This includes the main stadium, aquatic centers, indoor arenas, velodromes, just to name a few. And of course, these venues need to meet international standards, provide sufficient seating capacity, and offer state-of-the-art facilities for athletes and spectators. Second, we can also speak about the Olympic Village, which is a residential complex that provides accommodation for athletes and their support staff during the games. It requires the construction of multiple buildings or temporary structures with high-quality amenities such as dining halls, recreational areas, gym, medical facilities, and security measures. Also, as direct infrastructure, we have the media and broadcasting facilities that are crucial for the event. The games attract extensive media coverage from around the world, and host cities need to develop and upgrade media and broadcasting facilities, including press centers, studios, and international broadcast centers to support journalists and media organizations covering the event. But there are also some indirect infrastructure that are also aligned with the event. So from that, we can cite, for example, the transportation infrastructure. So host cities need to enhance their transportation networks to ensure efficient movement of people within the city and to and from the venues. This may involve expanding existing infrastructure, constructing new roads or highways, improving public transportation systems such as bus, subway, light rail, and so on, and developing dedicated lanes or routes for Olympic-related traffic. Or also we have the airport upgrades. So host cities often undertake airport expansions or upgrades to handle larger passenger volumes, improve facilities, and ensure smooth arrivals and departures for athletes, officials, and visitors. We have also to speak about accommodation facilities. So additional hotels, resorts, and temporary accommodation options may need to be built to cater to the increased demand during the games. And at the end, we can also speak about security infrastructure, which are relevant in this case. So host cities invest significantly in enhancing security infrastructure to ensure the safety of participants and spectators. This includes the perimeters and coordination with law enforcement agencies.
Okay, so in today's world, what are some of the important things to take into consideration when a host city plans for an event as big as this, like how the preparation that they have to do when hosting such a mega event?
Okay. So when a host city plans to host a mega event such as the Olympic Games or the FIFA World Cup, there are several important factors to take into consideration in today's world. These factors have evolved over time to reflect changing priorities and global trends. Let me maybe name some key considerations. So to begin with, the host cities must assess its existing infrastructure and determine what needs to be upgraded or built to successfully host the event. Secondly, there is a growing focus on sustainability and minimizing the environmental impact of mega events. So host cities are expected to incorporate sustainable practices such as using renewable energy sources, reducing carbon emissions, implementing waste management strategies, and preserving natural habitats. It is important to consider the long-term ecological consequences and work towards creating a sustainable event that benefits the environment. Moreover, the social and economic impact of hosting a mega event is critical consideration. Host cities must assess the potential benefits and risk associated with the event, infrastructure development, and community engagement. It is important to balance the short-term economic gain with long-term sustainable growth and the well-being of local communities. Additionally, legacy planning is very crucial. Host cities are increasingly expected to consider the long-term legacy of the mega event. This involves planning for the post-event utilization of infrastructure and venues to avoid white elephant syndrome. It is important to consider how the event will contribute to the city's future developments, such as repurposing venues for community use, creating a new culture or recreational spaces, or generating economic opportunities beyond the event itself. We have also, as mentioned before, to ensure the safety and security of participants, spectators, and the host city is paramount to do that. So host cities must develop comprehensive security plans, including crowd management, emergency response system, and collaboration with law enforcement agencies.
So based on some of the criteria you've listed from your research, have you been able to identify some exemplary cases that have done well in terms of those metrics that you listed, in terms of planning for the future with infrastructure for mega events?
Yes, of course. There are several exemplary cases where cities have successfully planned for the future with infrastructure for mega events, or that are at least perceived as successful mega events. To name just a few, for example, we have Barcelona 1992 Summer Olympics, that is often cited as a successful case of leveraging the Olympic Games for urban transformation. The city used the Olympics as a catalyst for comprehensive urban renewal, focusing on improving public transportation, upgrading waterfront areas, and investing in cultural and sport facilities. The infrastructure improvements made for the games have continued to benefit the city and its residents long after the event. London 2012 as well, it's also a Summer Olympics and is another case about a successful Olympics that is perceived in research. So London's approach to planning for the future with Olympic infrastructure focused on legacy considerations. The city prioritized the redevelopment of a deprived area in East London, transforming it into the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park. So the park is now a vibrant public space with recreational facilities, housing, and business opportunities. The transport infrastructure upgrades, such as the extension of the Jubilee Line and the construction of the Olympic parklands, have provided lasting benefits to the city.
Okay, so we have heard some good examples, but on the other hand, what does bad planning look like, and what kind of impact could it have on the city and the people, especially when the event is over and all the visitors have gone home and the attention is away from the city?
Okay, so to begin with, bad planning for a mega event can have a long-lasting negative effects on a host city and its citizens. It can result in financial strain, abandoned infrastructure, social dislocation, environmental degradation, and damaged reputation. Therefore, careful and thoughtful planning considering the long-term impacts and community benefits is crucial to ensure the success and sustainability of such events. So to cite few examples as we did for the successful mega events, we can speak about Athens 2004 Summer Olympics. So the Athens Olympic faced significant challenges due to the inadequate planning and overspending. The event left the city with a considerable debt burden as the estimated costs were vastly exceeded. Many of the Olympic venues were underutilized or left abandoned after the games, what we call white elephant in this case, resulting in maintenance costs and contributing to a sense of wasted resources. The economic downturn and lack of long-term planning for legacy projects further compounded the negative impact on the city and its citizens. We can speak also about Rio 2016, always Summer Olympics. So the Rio Olympics faced criticism for poor planning and failing to fulfill promised legacy projects. The construction of venues and infrastructure encountered delays, cost overruns, and controversy as well. After the event, several Olympic venues were left abandoned or had limited post-game usage, leading to concerns about the wasted investment. The city faced financial challenges, and the promised legacy projects such as improved public transportation and environmental cleanup were not fully realized, leaving the citizens with unfulfilled expectations. To speak about Winter Olympics also, we have the case of Sochi 2014, which is a clear example on what can go wrong with the Games. While Sochi successfully hosted the Winter Olympics, there were criticisms regarding overspending and inadequate long-term planning. The cost of the Games exceeded initial estimates, and there were concerns about the corruption and mismanagement. Following the event, many of the purpose-built venues struggled to find regular usage or attract major events, leaving them underutilized, such in also like the cases of Greece and Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. The high maintenance cost of these facilities combined with the limited post-Olympic economic benefits posed challenges for the city and its residents. That's not to speak also about the environmental impact of the Sochi 2014, which is like, we can go long speaking about that.
Okay, so let's go to somewhere more specific in the case of our city, Milan. So with the city hosting the 2026 Olympics, the Winter Olympics, what are some of the more prominent developments planned for the event, and how do you see them being used sustainably beyond 2026?
So first of all, it's worth mentioning that the bid for Milano-Cortina 2026 focused on the usage of existing infrastructure in general. So they had as they claimed that they have 90% of the infrastructure already present. So Milano, along with Cortina d'Ampezzo, is set to host the 2026 Winter Olympics, as you mentioned. While specific details of the post-event usage may evolve over time, here are some prominent developments planned for the Olympics in Milan and potential sustainable uses beyond 2026. So first of all, we can speak about the Milano-Cortina Olympic Village, which is a major development for the games. In the construction of the Olympic Village is willing to accommodate athletes and officials during the event. The Olympic Village could be repurposed as affordable housing or converted into a residential complex after the Games, providing much needed housing for local residents and contributing to the city's long-term housing strategies. So this was the initial idea. Now we know more details about in which way it will be repurposed, and it will be used for student housing, and we'll speak about that I think later. So in the Olympic Village is located in the south of Milan in the area of Porta Romana. The second major development within the city of Milan is the arena in Santa Giulia, which is designed by the prominent architect and Pritzker Prize winner David Chipperfield, and will host the men's tournaments and all of the finals as well. And can cite also some of the existing infrastructure that will be used for the event, such as the San Siro Stadium, which is the iconic stadium of Milan, and it will be used for the opening ceremony for the Milan-Cortina 2026. So it's I think these are the main infrastructure that are gonna be built for Milano-Cortina 2026.
Okay, so you've listed the one major project, and also with some of the, as you said, 90% would be existing infrastructure. But do you still foresee any challenges or problems that may be posed to the city of Milan by these plans going forward as we head into 2026?
Yeah, while the plans for the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milano offer potential benefits and opportunities, there are also potential challenges and problems that may arise. To name but a few, we can speak also about cost overruns and financial burden, something that we mentioned, I think, for different cases. And so hosting the Olympics involves significant investments in infrastructure and event operations. There is a risk of cost overruns and financial burdens if the actual cost exceeds the initial estimates. Ensuring responsible financial planning and cost control will be essential to avoid putting excessive strain on the city's budget and resources. We have also to keep an eye on the timing and construction delays. So construction and infrastructure projects for the Olympics often face delays and logistical challenges. Ensuring that the necessary venues and infrastructure are completed on time can be demanding and requiring efficient project management and coordination. Delays can affect the overall preparations and potentially impact the event's success. And the case of Milano is very relevant just because also during when they hosted the Expo in 2015, also they risked to have like a delay, but at the end they were able to complete everything on time. But the risk was there. Also, we can speak about environmental impact. So large-scale events like the Olympics can have environmental consequences. Construction activities increase transportation and waste generation can lead to ecological disturbances and increased carbon emissions. It will be crucial to manage and mitigate the environmental impact through sustainable practices such as energy-efficient infrastructure, waste reduction, and carbon offsetting measures. Also, what is important for cities that will host mega events is the public support and engagement. So hosting the Olympics requires public support and engagements, this is for sure, and concerns related to the use of public funds, disruption to daily life, and potential justification can lead to public skepticism or opposition. Ensuring transparency, effective communication, and involving the local community in decision-making processes will be important to address these concerns and build public trust as well. Finally, we can speak also about legacy planning and post-event usage. So this is very crucial in the case of mega events. So one of the key challenges is ensuring that the Olympic infrastructure has sustainable and beneficial post-event usage, repurposing venues and facilities, finding long-term tenants or users, and integrating them into the city's long-term plans require careful planning and coordination. Without effective legacy planning, there is a risk of underutilized or abandoned infrastructure, such in the cases that we named before, like Rio, Athens, and many more. So addressing these challenges will require comprehensive planning, effective governance, and collaboration among stakeholders. Milan needs to carefully navigate these potential issues to ensure a successful and sustainable hosting of the 2026 Winter Olympics, leaving a positive legacy for the city and its citizens.
So let's stay with the reappropriation of infrastructure from the event for future usage. One of the major issues in Milan today is unaffordable rent, particularly for the large student population, as we can see from the recent student occupation at Piazza Leonardo. Do you think the planned repurpose of some of the venues, especially the Olympic Village at Porta Romana, as student housing is a viable, at least part solution for the problem?
Yeah, so as mentioned before, repurposing some of the Olympic venues as student housing in Milano could be a viable part of the solution to address the issue of unaffordable rent, especially for the student population. Now, there are signs of the problems that the students are facing in relation to the accommodation, and it's becoming clearer and clearer with the tense protests that started a few weeks ago in Piazza Leo and that now evolved and led to the occupation of the students' dormitory Casa dello Studente. I don't know if you heard about that, but a few days ago, the students, the same that they were occupying or putting tents in Piazza Leo, they occupied Casa dello Studente, which have like a very significant impact because it's a dormitory for students that it has been closed for 1 year. So, of course, repurposing can be a viable solution. So, increased housing supply by repurposing Olympic venues as student housing would contribute to increasing the overall housing supply in Milano. This is for sure. So, this can help alleviate the scarcity of affordable housing options and provide students with more accessible and affordable accommodation. We have to take into consideration also the proximity to the educational institutions. So locating student housing in a repurposed Olympic venues could offer the advantage of proximity to educational institutions. And you have also to consider the cost. So the conversion of Olympic venues into the student housing has the potential to provide cost-effective alternatives. Retrofitting existing structures can be more economically feasible compared to constructing new buildings from scratch. This could help in keeping rental costs relatively low and within the affordability range for. We have also many cases about previous Olympics that repurposed Winter Olympic, like the Olympic villages for residents and also for students. And an example also can be like the Vortex building in Lausanne, which was like the athletes for it was used for the athletes for the young Olympiad in Lausanne. That was in the 2020, I think, remember well. So that was converted for students accommodation now in dormitory.
To wrap up, in general, hosting mega events like the Olympics, is it generally beneficial for a city and its inhabitants going forward, or do you think it could potentially add more to a city's problems?
So, as already mentioned earlier, the impact of hosting mega events like the Olympics can vary depending on various factors. This is for sure. So, including the city existing infrastructure, economic conditions and stability, planning and post-event strategies. While there are potential benefits, it is crucial to carefully consider and manage the challenges and potential drawbacks. To wrap up, here are some key points to consider, and we can start with potential benefits maybe. So we can speak about economic boost. Hosting mega events can bring economic benefits through increased tourism, job creation, and business opportunities. It can stimulate local industries, boost the hospitality sector, and attract investment, which can have positive effects on the city's economy. Second, we can speak about infrastructure development. So preparing for mega events often involves significant investments in infrastructure, such as transportation, sport venues, and public spaces. These developments can improve the city overall infrastructure and leave a lasting legacy for residents. There is also the urban renewal and regeneration. So mega events provide an opportunity for urban renewal, revitalizing neighborhoods, and improving public spaces. This can enhance the quality of life for residents and create a more vibrant and attractive city. Finally, as with potential benefits, we can speak about the international exposure and reputation, which is clearly why a lot of cities apply to host the mega event. So, hosting a major event can increase cities' global visibility and reputation. It can attract international attention, promote tourism, and potentially attract future event conferences and investment. However, there are also the potential challenges, so such as the financial risks. So, hosting mega event can come with significant costs and financial risks. Overspending, budget shortfalls, or unanticipated expenses can burden the city's finances and divert resources from other pressing needs. We spoke about a lot about the legacy. So we have the legacy planning. Without proper legacy planning, the post-event usage of infrastructure and venues can become a challenge. Abandoned or underutilized facilities can impose maintenance costs and have limited long-term benefits for the city and its residents. We can speak also about the displacement and inequality. So, mega event can lead to the displacement of local communities, particularly in areas where infrastructure developments take place. Displacement can increase socioeconomic inequalities and disrupt established neighborhoods. We have also the environmental impact, which is becoming more crucial for mega events to take into consideration. So large scale events have an ecological footprint. Construction, transportation, and waste generation can contribute to environmental degradation and carbon emissions unless sustainable practices are implemented. And we spoke also about the public opinion and perception. So the success of hosting mega events can be influenced by public opinion. Negative experiences, cost overruns, or social disruption can lead to public skepticism, as we said before, and tarnish the city's reputation. In summary, and to conclude, hosting mega events like the Olympics can bring both opportunities and challenges to a city and its inhabitants. With a careful planning, sustainable strategies, community engagement, and responsible financial management, the positive impacts can be maximized and the potential challenges mitigated. Each host city must assess its unique circumstances and carefully evaluate the potential benefits and drawbacks to make an informed decision to host a mega event. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdallah, for showing us the potential opportunities and risks a city can face when deciding to host a mega event, and we wish you well for your research going forward.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, so for concluding our interview, we would like to ask you something that we ask to all our guests. And the first question is about what is for you a city? And as you have talked about Olympic Games and mega events, which has a temporary characters, maybe if you can focus on the temporariness that is affecting every citizen and every city.
Okay, so regarding what's city, I think it's a very complicated question, but the most crucial aspect in the city, I think, at least for me, it's the social dynamics. So the city is formed by a lot of complex and interacting between each other social components that form some sort of social dynamics, which form the city. So it's not the urban fabric, it's not the morphology, it's not all of these. It's the social, which creates like the environment of the city. You can have the same building environment, but with two different societies have very different. You can perceive the city in a very different way. Regarding the temporary of the mega events, now it's becoming part of the discourse of environmental being cautious about environmental aspect and like in the environmental impact of mega events, especially that it was criticized a lot in the past. So basically, building temporary venues is also becoming part of this narrative of having like a sustainable mega event. And I think you have also to evaluate this. And I recall also maybe one of the venues of the Qatar 2022, even if Qatar, the World Cup, was very criticized for its sustainability, environmental sustainability, and I think that from that perspective, it's right to be that criticized, especially for a small country such as Qatar, to host such a mega event and to build a lot of venues and stadiums in such a very a small country. Just it's a very relevant point regarding the environmental impact. But I recall that they have one of the stadiums that was a temporary stadium, and after the event, it was kind of gifted to another country, Arab African country. I think it's the Moroccan. It was gifted to the Moroccan team, and this can be kind of a sustainable way of doing things, and yeah. Thanks.
Okay, yes, thank you. And in this vision that you have about cities, what do you think is the role that us as future urban planners, as also you, will have, and how we should reflect on cities? And maybe in this case, if you can focus more about what you said of the social aspect, which for you is the most important one.
Yeah. So basically, to the social aspect, obviously, it's the most important one. And I know that urban planners have also urban designers, architects tend to focus more about the forms, about the shapes, about the volumes within the city, and about how beauty these aspects are. However, while doing this, they have to take into consideration always that the city is being built for one purpose, and it's the future inhabitants and the people that will live in that city and that will be part of the fabric of the city, and a very important one, and they will reshape also what they built in a way. So I think the most important thing for designers, like urban designers, architects, and urban planners, even if I have to repeat it, but it's to take into consideration that the future inhabitants of this of their design, and to build something that can also accommodate the needs of those people, and maybe to leave a space, like not to build very rigid spaces and buildings, but to leave space also for the kind of creativity of the people, even if it's not like something that they are willing, or they are conscious that they have it, like it's something I think built in, and they kind of also they are the creators of the city.
This was Urbinary, a collaboration with Poly Radio. In the next episode, we will explore about mega events and the role that they have on hosting cities and the impacts that they have on hosting city. And to do so, I will be helped by Delara.
Urbinary, the podcast cataloging the everyday and extraordinary in the city.